Parents of TikTok, what is the creepiest thing your kid has ever said to you?
So my daughter was about a year old, almost two. She was talking really, really well, very advanced for her age. And we would catch her crying and we'd be like, "What's wrong?" And she would say, I miss my other family. And we're like, "Baby, we are your family. What do you mean you miss your other family?" And she's like, "No, I miss my Indian family." And we're like, "What do you mean you miss your Indian family? I don't understand." And she would look us dead in the eyes and say, "My Indian family misses me too." And me and my mom would just look at each other and be very confused. And she did that up until she was about 7 years old. She would tell us about her Indian family and talk about native things that there's no way for her to even know. So yeah.
Okay, so I don't have kids, but apparently this is something that I said when I was 5 years old, and it's pretty legendary in my family. So for context, I never got to meet my grandfather. He died a year before I was born. So one day my grandmother was flipping through her old photo album, and I pointed at my grandfather's picture and I said, "Oh, that's Pop Pop." And she looked at me and she's like, "How do you know who Pop Pop is?" And I said, "Well, because he's behind you and he wants you to take his hand and join him." And I smiled and gave her a hug and a kiss and ran away. The next day, my grandmother passed away. Yeah, so that happens.
So my 10-year-old's done a bunch of creepy stuff, but one thing I do distinctively remember was he has this nightlight that changes colors. And every time it changes colors, it shuts off completely and then comes back on a different color. I was sitting in the recliner, and I remember looking down the hallway, and I'm watching him, and he's sleeping there, and all of a sudden the colors change, and it's coming back on. Colors change, come back on. And one time the color changes, and that color came back on, and that little fucker was gone, okay? So I went down the hallway, crucifix in hand, ready to call for Jesus. And I went down there, and he is sitting in front of his closet, just having a full-blown conversation. "Hey, bud, you all right?" "Yeah, Dad, I'm good. Just kind of chilling here talking to my friend." "Okay, good night. God bless."
Okay, so when my oldest was 3 years old, he came down from upstairs, and I said, "What were you doing?" He goes, "I was reading books with Nana Joni." Nana Joni is my mom, who died 29 years ago. Then cut to 7, 8 years later, my younger son came downstairs, same age, and I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I was talking to Nana Joni," which I have no doubt my mom would have adored them and probably follows them around all day, every day. But yeah, it gave me chills.
So one night last year, my then 7-year-old daughter had to go to bed. And just like every other night, she comes out of her room every 5 minutes, trying to fight going to sleep, telling us she loves her, she wants a hug, over and over and over again. Me and her mama was trying to watch TV. We was watching a movie or something. So she came out her room again. At that point, we was fed up with it. So we said, "Adeline, that's enough. Take your butt to bed and go to sleep." And as she stormed off to her bedroom door, she stops, opens her door, and looks at me and says, "I'll go to bed, but the angel of death is watching you tonight." She looked me dead in my face with an evil glare and said, "The angel of death is watching you tonight." Bitch, when I said I couldn't sleep that night.
So my son, who is 21 now, he was 4 years old at the time, and he came running into my room. He was so excited. "Grandma just said hi to me. Grandma just said hi to me and told me to tell you hello, and she loves you." And I went, "Okay." And I thought he was on the phone with my mother. So a couple weeks later, we're walking down the hallway in my home, and on the walls I have all kinds of pictures of family, old pictures, everything. So he points, he goes, "There she is." And I said, "Who?" And he pointed to a picture of my grandmother. And he goes, "There she is. She's the one that said to tell you she loved you." And I went, "Really?" And my grandmother has been dead for over 40 years.
This happened many years ago when I lived in a certain house in Rock Island, Illinois. I have 4 children. All of them are grown now, but at the time they were school-aged and my oldest was in high school. So my youngest daughter was doing dishes one day, slammed the door to the basement. I asked her why, and she said, because the voices are telling me to come play with them. So what, child? So after that, I asked my oldest daughter, who was about 15 or 16 at the time, and her bedroom is in the basement. I said, do you ever hear anything in the basement? She said, the voices? I hear them all the time, and some of them don't speak English. What? So after many strange occurrences happened in this house, one day I walk into my son's bedroom. At the time he was in kindergarten, really couldn't write worth a darn, and clear as day on his windowsill was written, I'm here but you can't see me. And when I asked him why he wrote that, he said, I don't know, Mommy.
Okay, so I have 2 separate stories about my daughter. So when my daughter was about 10 months old, we were in the room, we were minding our business, chilling in the bed, and I noticed she kept like waving at the hallway. And I looked because the door was open, but nobody was there. And I don't know about y'all children, but my baby girl has been talking since she was about maybe 7, 8 months old. So I asked her straight up, is somebody there? And she looked at me, she pointed to the hallway and said yes. Another incident, y'all know that my mom passed when I was 7. So when Dior was about 1.5, she told me about her Momo to Linda, who is my mom. Mind you, she never met her. And so I told my great aunt, who is my mom's aunt, and my aunt didn't believe me. Showed Dior a picture of my mom, and she said, I know her, that's my grandma, we play all the time.
Okay, so the triplets are about 3 or 4 years old. The boys have their own room at the top of the stairs. My daughter's room is across the game room. It's about 10 o'clock at night, and I hear my son screaming and crying. I go up to see what's wrong, and he's sitting on the edge of the bed. He's rocking back and forth. He's crying. He's yelling, fire, fire, there's a fire. I'm like telling him, there's no fire. You're fine. Go back to bed. Console him, put him to bed. Fast forward to the next night. I go upstairs to tuck my daughter in bed. I walk into her room and I smell smoke. I look down where the nightlight is. She's got this pink princess blanket that's up against the nightlight and it is burning. Grab it, put it out, and the chills that went up my spine are unreal. And I ran.
Okay, first off, I know I'm a mess and I don't even know what's going on up here. But when my youngest was 4 years old and Notre Dame was going up in flames, she became so excited at the TV and started pointing and saying, oh, that's how I became a baby again. There was a fire. I became a baby again. I had to wait in heaven for a little bit. And then I chose you as my mom and I became a baby again. And I'm like, this isn't a joke. Like, this is serious. This is a devastating event. Like, she's like, no, I became a baby again because I was in a fire. And she has strawberry marks, which are supposed to be symbolic of past traumas.
I woke up at 3:33 in the morning to my second child within inches of my face, looking at me like this. Mind you, she looks just like me, so this face exactly. I was like, yes, Lacey, what are you doing? I love you so much. I just want to wear your face. Girl, go back to bed. I love you too. Snuggle.
Alright, so wasn't my kid, a friend of mine. We were working in West Texas, staying in Odessa, and we were and it was known as a company house, so a bunch of people just stay in a house, and all of our families had come to town, and his daughter was standing in the bedroom, and she looks in the closet and she goes, there's brown people in there. We asked her, how many people? There was 4. So then we go to act like we're going in the closet to mess with her, and then she falls on the ground and completely starts screaming and crying and says they have come out of the floor. So we go into the closet and lift up the carpet, and there was a little lip on it, so we lift it up. There was a complete dungeon under the house. Do a little bit of research. Used to belong to the cartel. Who knows how many people have died there? So yeah, I used to stay there.
Right, so when my twin sons were about 2.5, maybe three, because they were full sentences, but one of them was in the kitchen, and he was trying to get one of those little Gerber food containers off of a shelf. And they had already eaten. So I asked him what he was doing. I said, Brax, what are you doing? Why are you trying to get that off of the shelf? And he said, well, I have to get it for my friend. Now, mind you, they're 2.5, 3. They don't have friends other than each other. And so I said, well, Braylon already ate. Who are you getting it for? And he said, for the little boy. What little boy? For the little boy who lives behind the refrigerator. I looked, no one's there. Then he looked me dead ass in the eyes, and he said, his name's Calvin. Only I can see him.
When my daughter was like 4, maybe 5 years old, she was always talking about how this man would watch her and her brother to make sure that they were safe. So one weekend, I'm going through pictures on a computer, trying to delete stuff, make room, and out of nowhere, she's like, Mommy, that's the man. It was a picture of my ex-father-in-law who had passed away like 3 years previous to this. So instead of telling her, like, no, he's dead, I'm like, oh yeah? I was like, how often does he watch y'all? And she's like, all the time. She's like, he's here right now. And I'm like, really? Where? And she's like, sitting on the bed with my daddy.
We were driving by a cemetery, and my daughter said she waited there 3 months before coming to be with me. That's where she waited.